Tom, I had an idea for the theme of this episode.
Oh boy. Yeah, what's the theme?
Because 'tis the season.
Oh boy, no.
What season is it, Tom?
Where's Mariah Carey? Where is she?
What season is it?
Of course, it's the end of the year where everything is going dark.
It's the holiday season!
Oh god. No, I'm not that festive now. The holidays.
Well, someone has to be.
Clearly, yes. Do we need to make like 80 years war Christmas sweaters?
We actually should.
Aren't those called borstrokken?
Nope.
Having trouble.
We call in the know we call this technical difficulties.
Technical difficulties.
Yeah.
Well, that's a bit of a shame of the sweater.
Yeah.
Not the right choice of clothing, I guess. Of course. Not sure it's gonna work.
I don't think this will.
No, there it goes. Okay, cut.
Editing Tim, don't cut. This is cold.
Now we will only know if it works at the end.
Yeah.
Oh boy. So yeah, it's...
This is Tim drinking ASMR.
Oh no, we're not gonna do... Oh boy. ASMR video of Allemansend. Oh boy.
Okay. Back to the video. Because it's the holiday season, and in the Netherlands as of recording this, we're right in the middle of the Sinterklaas celebrations, the Saint Nicholas celebrations.
Yes. Very old tradition with some questionable ideas in some ways, but okay. It is tradition though.
Yeah. And I really wanted to talk about the Sinterklaas traditions in the Netherlands.
Actually, it's quite strange that it's one of the very Catholic things that still remains in the Netherlands after the Reformation.
Yeah. And that's all because of very specific things that happened.
I don't really know the big history about it, only that there I've seen some paintings from the 17th century with the St. Nicholas Fest, and I'm like, it was a deeply Protestant country with very Protestant rules and stuff, and then you would still have like a patron saint holiday in the middle of Amsterdam going on.
Well, they did try to cancel it multiple times.
Try. Very good. Tried.
Okay, but to summarize, Saint Nicholas was a saint, I believe, in the 8th century. He was the bishop of the town called Myra in Turkey. Yeah, he's mostly remembered because of his generosity, because he came from a wealthy family. And in that period, they really held on to the belief that it's easier for a camel to crawl through the eye of a needle than it is for a rich man to gain access to heaven. So, and Saint Nicholas at this point really wanted to be the example in that way. So when his parents died and he was left their fortune, he started generously giving that money to the poor, but in a very specific manner. And there are a lot of stories about this, like where there was a father with 3 daughters, and they were poor, so they were debating. So the father was debating. I need to marry them, but I can't give bruidschat in Dutch.
Oh, how do they call it? Indeed,
A dowry.
Dowry.
He couldn't supply a dowry for his daughters, so there was a chance that his daughters needed to be sold into slavery. And at night, it got night, and the father was like, "Okay, I need to sell one of my daughters tomorrow into slavery because we don't have any money for the dowry or money at all." And the next morning, there was a sack of money at the front door, and nobody knew where the money came from. Now, the next day came, and the next daughter needed to be sold because there still wasn't enough money for her dowry. Now, and the next day again, a sack of money appeared on the near the front door, and the father was like, I need to figure out what's going on here." And the third time that this happens with the third daughter, the father stayed up the whole night, and he discovered Nicholas placing the money, and Nicholas said to him, "Okay, no, I don't want anyone to know that I was here, because that's also a thing that socialist Jesus Christ said, that if you're charitable, you shouldn't be vain enough to
don't brag about it.
Brag about your generosity." And that's a bit why the spirit of Saint Nicholas. The whole thing of Saint Nicholas is that he leaves presents, but you never see him when he leaves those presents. The presents always get left in secret. That's where that comes from.
Cheese. Of course, it's a Dutch podcast because there's cheese on the table.
I normally don't like cheese, but I found a cheese I like.
St. Nicholas brought cheese today.
The cheese saint.
The cheese saint.
Do you believe in the holy Jesus?
No. Oh, God. Oh, you should get a yellow card for that one.
How about the baby Jesus?
That's not until December 25th. He's not born yet.
And people, so he got sanctified, and the Orthodox Christians and the Catholic, Roman Catholic Christians, even after the theological schism, I believe in the 9th century, they still saw him as a saint, and they celebrated all the saints' days. So in the Middle Ages, they still celebrated St. Nicholas Day, which was on his death day. Mm-hmm. These days we remember St. Nicholas Day as his birthday, but it's actually his death day on December 6th. It went through the Middle Ages. People kept doing the specific St. Nicholas traditions, and in the 17th and the 16th, 17th century, when the Calvinists came to power in the Netherlands, the Protestant Calvinists, they wanted to get rid of the Papist Catholic practices of celebrating saints, because they don't believe in saints. Mm-hmm. Because for the Calvinists and most of the Protestants, the religion is about your connection to God, and not your connection to the saints, who are in their views just people. But in the Netherlands, in Low Countries in general, it was really hard to get rid of, especially the Sinterklaas, the Saint Nicholas feast. Tom, do you know why?
I don't specifically actually know why. No.
Do you know what he is the patron saint of?
Well, children, at least.
Children, orphans, merchants.
Oh, yeah. Now I know why.
Prisoners, the wrongfully accused, lawyers,
Oh boy.
prostitutes, sailors, and a few other things.
Sums up actually just the Dutch society as a whole.
Yes, but especially in port and harbor towns.
Mm.
Like, he's also the patron saint of Amsterdam. And within port and harbor towns, like just the fact of merchants, prostitutes, and sailors. Like in port towns, every family probably has a few of those. In the 15th, 16th, 17th century, there was a market connected to the St. Nicholas feast. Like the market would be in the evening on December 5th. And there was a lot of socializing, drinking, carousing, just partying during those markets, and it was at those markets, people would buy presents to give to other people on December 6th. Now the Calvinists really didn't like this because
they saw something that was fun and just thought like no. You can only have fun in heaven. Now you have to suffer.
Just like in the 17th century in England, in the United Kingdom, where Cromwell decided to cancel Christmas.
Yes.
A lot of Calvinists, Calvinist preachers in the Netherlands wanted to cancel Sinterklaas. And I made a few notes. Because in 1607 in Delft, the city of Delft, they tried to cancel the Calvinist preachers tried to cancel the St. Nicholas festivities. They tried to they forbade the placing of stalls on December 5th on the market square. In 1618 in Tiel in Gelderland, the municipality placed a fine on how do I explain this in English? In Dutch, the word is schoentje zetten.
Oh yeah, but perhaps you should explain the tradition at least.
Because a tradition, tradition that's connected to the Sinterklaas traditions in the Netherlands is that children get to place their shoe either by the door, the window, or the chimney. Because St. Nicholas or one of its helpers would come down the chimney and leave something for the children, either a little present or some sweets to eat or something like that.
Or if you were bad, some coal. If you were a bad kid, you just got coal. Yeah,
it's a bit reminiscent of the Christmas tradition of hanging stockings, but then they are shoes. Well, in the municipality of Tiel, where they had Calvinist rule, they tried they forbade bakers from making cookies and breads with a depiction of Saint Nicholas.
Oh boy!
Because they actually put a fine on the practice of placing the shoe.
So if you just came from the countryside and were like, oh, I don't want to go into my house with my dirty shoes, you left them at the door, you would get a fine.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
If they spotted a shoe at a window or at a door, you had to pay a fine of 2 guilders, and the shoe and its contents would be confiscated.
What would they do with just one shoe?
I love history. Oh, and the worst thing, the best thing about this law, it was never retracted.
It's still in practice.
From what I could find, is that it was never officially retracted.
People from Tiel, really, be careful to put your shoe outside of the... I'm gonna phone the police and Tiel about this. You know what's happening right now?
Do you know in that one street, I saw a shoe in a window. Better get over there.
It's like those, you can make videos about the ridiculous rules in the Netherlands, and you would put that inside of it. Oh, bloody hell!
And it was only discovered in 2000, I believe, in 2019. That was still in place.
That's pretty awesome, though. It does say about how much they enforce the law, though.
Yeah.
Because they just completely forgot about it.
It's a bit like that one island of the coast of England that was. There's more places like that. There was an island. The island's still there, on the south coast of England, which was still at war with the Netherlands officially for, I believe, for about 300 years.
Isn't it more closer to the French coast, though?
It could be.
Yeah, I've remembered that one. Yeah, indeed, it was still at war from the 17th century.
Yeah. But there were also Dutch towns that were still at war from, I believe, the Middle Ages with each other, and the peace was never officially signed. So they signed the peace, I believe, 10 years ago. And another point, in 1663, they tried to cancel the St. Nicholas festivities in Amsterdam, and there was a riot.
Of course, it's the patron saint of Amsterdam,
which they which got called the oproer van de 11-jarigen.
The uprising of 11-year-olds.
The uprising of 11-year-olds, and it was successful. So they wanted to cancel it, but apparently 11-year-olds or grown-ups who they deemed they're like 11-year-olds, they protested, and the festivities still went on.
It's so funny because when we think of the Sinterklaasfeest in the Netherlands, now it's a big political thing as well, with all the stuff about Black Pete and stuff, and that there's demonstrations, and everybody is like, oh, you can't do anything anymore because they always demonstrate about the feast. Now we know they're already doing it for like 400 years.
Yep. And that's also why I really wanted to discuss this today.
It is part of the tradition. Now we know it's part of the tradition to do it.
Protesting and rioting. Tradition.
Only in the Netherlands, though. Well, I can... they also have like the St. Nicholas feast in Belgium, and it's practically the same as in the Netherlands. And I can still remember I had to put, instead of my shoe, a wooden clock near the fireplace to putting the sweets in. And I remember that my brother's clock was bigger as mine. So I was always like, oh, he's getting more sweets than I do. I was that one kid in the painting that got coal in his shoe and just pointing, just going like that.
To clarify, that's Thomas often talking about a painting by Jan Steen.
Indeed, it's from Jan Steen.
Of a Sinterklaas celebration, and on multiple of these kind of St. Nicholas feast celebrations, there's always one kid that's crying because he didn't get what he wanted, or he got coal or salt or something like that.
The fun part is that these days, like from all the holidays in December and January, it's always Christmas is kind of the biggest one. It's when you spend time with the family and stuff. But actually, when you look in the 17th century, there are so many holidays that were actually way larger than Christmas, like St. Nicholas. I can remember. In Dutch, I call it Free King Feast. I don't know how they call it in English.
There's an English word for it. But it's basically when the three wise or some call them magi. They fought. When they visit Jesus and recognize that he will be king. And that's why in I believe the 17th century. The Three Kings Day is more important than the actual birth of
because then he was
of Jesus.
Yeah, because then he was recognized as the savior. Actually,
because then he's actually recognized indeed. And that's also a thing on the wintering on Nova Zembla. They don't explicitly celebrate King's Day, but they do celebrate King's Day. They don't celebrate Christmas.
King's Day. Yeah, we're gonna celebrate Willem Alexander 400 years
King's Day in the Republic.
Stuff with polar bears does weird things with people, you know.
Yeah. No, but there's on wintering on Nova Zembla in 1598. They celebrate they don't really celebrate Christmas, but they do celebrate the Three Kings Day.
Yeah, and I think in some parts of Belgium, actually, in the entirety of Belgium, it's still like a tradition. And on the Three Kings feast, they bake like a cake or a bread with a bean or something in it. Yeah. And the one who finds a bean is as like good luck for the rest of the year, or can decide something at the party or something.
And in the 17th century, there are also a few paintings about the Bean King. And apparently, it's there can also be a bean queen. Because you could in some traditions you could find a bean and no, not a bean queen. It's what was it again?
How do you call it in Dutch?
Echt.
Pea?
Pea!
The
pea queen!
The pea. Oh boy, that sounds really good.
Yeah. And the funniest thing is, you had the Bean King and the Pea Queen. They weren't gender specific.
Oh, I can imagine in some parties.
So a woman, if she found the bean, she would be the Bean King. And if a man found the pea, he would be the Pea Queen.
That would be really, really good party, though.
Yeah. And this is kind of a weird tradition because like a lot of social norms get thrown out the window during the party because like a student could become the master, the master at that in that situation for one night, and they also celebrated this on Nova Zembla, and like someone would be treated as the king with his hofhouding, his courts.
Yeah.
So he could name a fool and an advisor and stuff and things like that. It would be a little spontaneous play erupting in within the family.
I think we must bring back that tradition, though. It sounds like the best party ever. Just.
It's pretty hard to actually research Christmas traditions in the Netherlands in the 17th in history, because there isn't much you can actually find about it, because most you can find is either earlier pagan traditions, German traditions, or English traditions.
Yeah, because things like indeed the Christmas tree and actually Saint Nicholas as well. It's come back really from Germany that I always have heard, but also pagan traditions.
Yeah, well, the Saint Nicholas, Saint Nicholas, as we know, is not particularly German. It's also celebrated in some German regions, but not all, and in different ways. But in the Netherlands and the Low Countries, it mostly came out of the Christian traditions. Like there are a few things that you could say derive from the pagan tradition. That's Saint Nicholas. Some things in the Saint Nicholas tradition derive from Wodan.
Well, you have that island in the northern Netherlands, Ameland, isn't it called? They have Sinterklaas.
Yeah, they have Sinterklaas.
Isn't that really based on really pagan tradition kind of things?
That's a bit hard to say, because in the Netherlands, in the north, you have the Waddeneilanden, the islands on the north side, and they have a different St. Nicholas tradition than the rest of the Netherlands. They're also a little bit more secluded from the mainland, and they also really like to distinguish themselves from mainlanders. And a few of those islands have their own tradition. Like on Ameland, it's notorious for their secretness of the traditions. and they really don't want outsiders coming to the island to see it, and they can also get violent because of that.
Yeah, I've heard from last year that
Yeah,
actually
like last
stuff
year there
happened.
was a conservative news channel that went to Ameland, and they got chased, and they tried to drive their car from off of the road and stuff. And even the mayor was like, yeah, you shouldn't have come to Ameland. And it's completely different on Texel. On the island of Texel, the biggest of those islands, they gave a response to that. And their response was, if you want to join our party, come join our party. You're welcome.
Well, Tesla is also a bit more tourism orientated, so they were like, money.
Yep.
Like the rest of the Netherlands, though.
Well, the Sinterklaas festivities. There's also they have their own tradition. I don't know all of it. I know a little bit. Like there's dancing involved. There's dressing up involved. Getting out in the streets. And a lot of drinking.
I know actually also for a fact that in Belgium it's not all of the people celebrate like St. Nicholas, but there's also a part, I think it's the west of Flanders and stuff, they celebrate St. Maarten more. That St. Maarten is coming to bring the presents and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really, I didn't know it until a few years ago. I was like, huh? That's St. Nicholas with us, but they celebrate it with St. Maarten doing the giving, and it's actually more derived from St. Maarten giving part of his cloak to the poor people, the same as St. Nicholas giving to the poor and stuff.
Yeah. I grew up in I grew up in a Catholic village in the south of the Netherlands, and we also celebrated St. Maarten. That's connected to the story of St. Maarten. I also believe that St. Maarten is something that's also done in even Protestant parts of the Netherlands.
I don't know. Most of the time it's like
it's like kids going around with lampions.
Yes, lanterns.
Lanterns.
Yes,
the kids going around with small paper lanterns.
That was always get on fire. One of them gets on fire.
That's why most of them these days are with the LED lights.
With the LED lights.
With electric lights.
I lived still back in the day when they were caught on fire when you weren't careful enough.
In my day, we still used candles.
Yes.
No, but then the kids go door to door with small lanterns, paper lanterns, and they sing a song and they receive candy. It's a bit like trick or treat. It's around the same period, but it's not Halloween. But it's kind of a related.
It's in November, isn't it? Somewhere in November.
Yeah, well, no.
I think it's November. It's not October for at least. It's after Halloween, but I can't remember the specific date, but I think it's in early November that they most of the time they do it.
Well, I don't. Yeah, I myself don't identify myself as a Catholic in my grown-up life. You a little bit more than I do.
I think a little bit more.
Well, I did grow up a little bit with Catholic influences, but with Catholic influences that are particular from my part of the Netherlands. And I often describe it like this. My grandparents went to church every Sunday. My parents went to church every holiday, every holy day. So on Sinterklaas, no, it's not Sinterklaas. Not Sinterklaas. They went on Christmas. They went on Easter, and things like that. Like if it was a St. Maarten celebration, we went. And then also all the kids went door to door, like things like that. And the next generation after my parents didn't go at all to church.
Well, you only go on 2 occasions. when there's someone marrying and when someone dies.
Yeah. Well, I'm probably not getting married from the church, but my sister did get married at the church, and her kids also got baptized. And so
sometimes it's even more with tradition than with actual beliefs.
Yeah, it's more tradition. It's more tradition. Where I come from in the Netherlands, the Catholics aren't really that enthusiastic.
I don't know if you can describe Catholicism with like being enthusiastic. At least not.
Have you seen a Catholic church?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's pretty.
If you start to bedazzle everything, you're enthusiastic. What I mean is, also in the Netherlands, you have a region called the Bible Belt. It's like it's a line you can draw across the Netherlands, in which you can find Catholics, but also Protestants, who are really enthusiastic about their beliefs.
And it was created in the 17th century.
Yeah.
Because that was the border from the Republic to the Spanish Netherlands.
Yeah, a bit.
For a long time it was.
Yeah.
Because that's why the border was for the 12-year truce.
Yeah.
Then after it, of course, with Frederik Hendrik and stuff, they captured Sertogenbosch, and the actual border was put to the south, but they really weren't enforcing like Protestant beliefs on the inhabitants anymore, except the cities, of course.
Yeah, and especially when there's a line like that, you get people on both sides of the line, like, oh, look at how good of a believer I am. Look at me and how hard I believe. I believe harder than you do because the version of God I believe in is mightier than your version of God you believe in.
Meanwhile, the rest of the Benelux is just looking like, what the hell is happening over there? That's fine.
Yeah, that's the thing, because when I see religious fanatics, I really just look like,
I wouldn't call it fanatics though. But
a lot of people in the Bible Belts, I kind of look at them like they're fanatics.
Could be, but
like I said, my grandmother, my grandparents went to church every Sunday. And I could hold theological discussions with my grandma. Also with my granddad, but my grandma was a bit more talkative about it. And we could actually just have critical religious discussions without anyone getting mad or anything. It was just like, this is just what we do. We go to church. We believe, and if you think otherwise, it doesn't. Yeah. I don't mind if you shit on my plate if you don't splash.
At least if you don't splash. But yeah, I think though it would be more fun at reenactment events during the year that actually on or close to some kind of holiday that you would also kind of try to celebrate it like they would do it back in the day. But it's very hard to do it because there's not really a lot known about how they would celebrate it. For example, I wouldn't know how they would celebrate Easter. We always have an event at Easter at Alkhion.
Yeah.
But how would they celebrate Easter actually back in the day? It's a big question.
Well, it really depends, because like I said, the Protestants, the Protestants tried. The Protestants really tried to distance themselves from the older Catholic and thereby sometimes also pagan traditions. Like these days, you have the Easter Bunny, and that's a very old tradition actually. And the Protestants would probably not like the Easter Bunny because one, it's an older tradition, and two, it's kind of pagan. The same way that years ago, I saw an American documentary about the history of Christmas.
Oh boy! Oh
yeah, it was the history of Christmas, and it was just a documentary about the history of Christmas traditions, and things like the Yule log, the Christmas tree. and Santa Claus and stuff like that, and the pagan history that was connected to it. And the end of the documentary was a warning. The last, I think, 15 minutes of the documentary was like, yes, and if you don't want to lose your connection with God and Jesus, then you should banish these things from your home and have a sober Christmas, and just remember the birthday of Jesus. I don't know why that accent came on, but
it's a bit sour. Okay. Yeah, that's the holidays actually, as we celebrate them these days, is actually when I talk about it with my granddad as well, it's like it's part of the last kind of 50, 60 years that we really do it. My grandfather in his youth wouldn't set up a Christmas tree or stuff like that. It's actually really from after the Second World War that they would really do it a lot.
Yeah, that's because also after the Second World War there was a lot of Americanization of a lot of European traditions, which is a weird boomerang.
Yeah, because if you look into it, it's actually European culture going to America and then coming back in some way indeed.
Yeah, because the tradition of bringing winter green, not only a tree, but bringing winter greens in the house was a thing that was done in a lot of places in Europe. It was done in the German lands, also the Low Countries. It was done in the British Isles. It was done in Scandinavia. And it was often done because it was a sign of survival, of fertility.
Bringing the last pieces of stuff that survive outside.
Well, it's more. I think it's more a thing like, oh, okay, like this, like this thing, this. Hulst.
Hulst. I got. Mistletoe?
No, that's a different thing, but also mistletoe. Okay, we'll stick with mistletoe.
Let's stick to mistletoe.
Or in Dutch, Marentak.
Marentak, yes.
Like mistletoe and Hulst.
We have to look up what
evergreen.
I'm gonna look up what Hulst is.
and evergreen. Because they survive winter, so so we'll bring them in to remind us that if they can survive winter, we can also survive winter.
I want to know what the fuck it is. Gonna look it up. What is it?
Technical difficulties for our journey, our quest to find the English meaning of the Dutch word hulst.
Holly.
Oh, it's holly!
Common holly.
Who would have known?
Or occasionally Christmas holly.
Ooh. I think that's only 1 month out of the year, though.
Probably. They call it common holly, English holly, European holly, or occasionally Christmas holly.
And the Latin pronunciation, now we're here.
Ilex aquifolium.
Ilex aquifolium.
Yeah, so
now everyone knows this will be on the test.
Oh
Equus aquifolium.
At the end of the year, when we do like 12 months of podcast, we're gonna do a test about everything. Now.
Okay, I was getting nervous, but you mean next year?
Next year, yes. Not this evening.
if we get that far,
we probably would. We have lots of shit to talk about.
We'll see. Christmas tradition. Yeah. Oh yeah, and you a few years ago you also discovered another Christmas or winter solstice tradition. Wasn't that the duvelkaterbrood?
Yeah, duvelkater, the kind of bread actually is more about. When I looked it up, it was more about every kind of festivity. I did had like it was this big of a book, all about different kind of breads that they would bake throughout the year at specific holidays and stuff. Duvelkater was actually a really sweet, sugary kind of bread that they would make at things like Christmas, New Year's Eve, and especially Easter, though. And it would be these really decorated kind of bread that would be like a masterpiece for a bakery shop to put somewhere, and people
Yeah,
would
and
buy
they have
it.
a very specific shape.
Yeah.
And it's a bit like in 17th century they had the duvelkater.
Mhm.
A bit like today we have what we call in Dutch the feeststol.
The kerststronk.
The kerststronk.
The kerststronk.
The kerststronk.
That's what they call it with us,
With
kerststronk.
you guys, it's called the Christmas log.
Yes, it's like this ice cream log, really.
No, it's an ice cream log. Yeah,
Yeah,
I've seen, I've seen those. No, I'm talking about the stol.
Oh, you mean that bread with the dirty stuff inside?
Yes, Tom, I'm talking about the raisin bread, the white raisin bread, with a tube of almond paste on the inside.
You really hate it.
I also don't like it. I really prefer duvelkater.
Every time during the holidays when you visit someone, it's like, oh, would you like some Christmas doll? I'm just going inside like, dislike it so much, and then I'm going like, oh yeah, of course, because I'm a Belgian, I can't refuse. I'm going like,
Belgians and social pressure.
I can't do it. I can't do it anymore. But yeah, so
Belgian, yeah, Flemish culture. Flemish culture often, often crumbles for social pressure, but nobody can social pressure a Belgian to repair his roads.
No, that's a tactical decision. It's just to make sure that the French don't cross the border that much.
If tanks can't come in.
Probably the potholes are still from the tanks back in the day.
Not far from where you live, there's still a Second World War improvised bridge that's still in use.
It's still in use, though, yes, and it works.
And it was made by the Americans, probably.
British.
Oh, and it's the most smoothest road in the whole municipality.
Some British.
You can't deny that.
It's the best British oak bridge with steel. We paint it once a year just to cover up the rust, and then it goes on again. But it still works. No, but like the Netherlands has to build speed bumps in their roads. They are created organically at our roads.
For an old Dutch proverb, vroeger waren geen drempels, maar kuilen. Translated to English. Long ago, there weren't speed bumps, but ditches.
Oh, yeah. So, but okay.
Do you know any other Christmas traditions from the 17th century or
17th century? No, but I know from the English tradition around Christmas that they would have like. It's almost like the Three Kings with art, that they would have a court, the King of Christmas, and then they would have a court, but it was like an entire week of festivities, and every day would have like a specific theme. I don't really know that much about it, but
there's another bit like the song 12 Days of Christmas.
I think something like
On the
that.
first day of Christmas.
Oh, I don't know that song. I know it's, but not really what it's
a bit
about.
like, it's a bit like like those summing up songs. Like you first have a piece of the song, then they say something, then you have another piece of the song. Then you have to say the first thing and the second thing, and so on.
No, it's not like that. I think I've seen a documentary about like Christmas in Tudor times, like at the time of Henry VIII and stuff. And then it was a whole week of festivities and things sometimes really got out of hand.
Yeah, like the wassailing and actual gangs fighting each other in the streets.
That sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And that was actually why Cromwell was also cracking down that heavily on Christmas, because a lot of indulgence and sins were actually committed with those festivities.
Yeah, but the same as with the Sinterklaas, St. Nicholas celebrations in the Netherlands. And with the Sinterklaas celebration in the Netherlands, like you already said at the beginning, there is a lot of political upheaval about it, about the racist aspects of the celebration. which I personally completely understand.
I just grew tired of the entire discussion. I banned it from my mind.
I understand why you get tired from the discussion, but I completely understand. Understand the, let's say, the progressive side of that fence, especially. There's an early 18th century, for context, in the Netherlands, within the tradition, Saint Nicholas has a helper. The helper is called Piet. For about 100 years, he was portrayed as a black character, and they were often played by white people wearing blackface, which at that moment there wasn't anything wrong with that tradition, because the story was that the character Pete went down the chimneys, got covered in soot, and that's why he was black.
In some parts, though,
wait, get to that. We'll get to that, and that's why he got black. We also have to preface that there are a lot of winter traditions all over Europe, where a feature is that young men would paint themselves black. Painting yourself black is the easiest way for someone to get unrecognizable by people in their community. That's why multiple traditions like that sprung up in Europe. There are traditions in Italy, in the Alpine regions, and those are the old pagan-esque traditions. Like, what's easier than taking charcoal and fat and just rubbing it on your face?
Well, I can remember my grandmother used to tell me the tale about how they would celebrate St. Nicholas at her home back in the day, and she would be scared as hell because of Black Pete, because it wasn't in the Netherlands. It's like the Moorish, the black figure with actually red lips.
That's the actual
black hair, earrings.
That's the actual racist part of the tradition. The racist part is because they didn't stop at painting the face black. They also gave them characteristics of black people, like the red lips, the earring, the curly hair.
Actually, caricature of
it's a caricature of black people. And I really understand that part, and I really personally really appreciate what the Dutch NPO, the public, how would I say NPO in English? But the national Dutch television, like a bit like the Dutch version of the BBC. And they decided that with their productions, every year they set up a huge welcoming of St. Nicholas, in which he comes with a steamboat, and it gets to greet the children, and there were also a lot of Pete's there giving candy to the children and just making fun with the children and stuff. And they decided they would only cast people in the outfits of Pete, but only give him smudges with soot smudges. Smudges.
I'm fine with it.
And they got rid of the red lips and the earrings and the hair. And I think that's a good solution, because one, the kids really don't care where the presents are coming from. Like, as long as they, when you strip off the racism, it's really fun.
Well, you could go the other way around and turn it back to what my grandmother had.
But then you sit with the tradition of Zwarte Klazen.
Yeah, and that was when my grandmother described the moment when Sinterklaas, St. Nicholas, would come to your house, actually, but there would be a kind of a tradition that they visited the children before his death day. And the Zwarte Klaas, so the Black Pete in that way, was a completely black man with like this huge tongue coming out of his mouth with chains, and it would be like the devils that St. Nicholas had conquered, and they would be turned into his punishment actually for children who would have who wouldn't have behaved in the year. And they described it that the door, they would hear knocking on the door, would watch the Black Beats knocking on the windows, knocking on the doors, and then the door would open and they would just run into the house, jump under the tables, over the tables. They would have like the roux, so it's like the bundle of sticks.
I think sometimes it's called a switch, or a switch is just one stick, but it's a bundle of sticks,
and it would hit children who misbehaved and stuff. And then when Saint Nicholas entered the house, they would all become quiet at that moment, because then Saint Nicholas was in and everything was safe. And then that was the part of Saint Nicholas being the protector of the children against the devils and stuff. And she would be terrified.
And that's actually very much the same as the Krampus tradition.
Yeah.
Because also the Krampus tradition is an older tradition than Sinterklaas. It's a pagan tradition that's also connected to Perchten, and Perchten are alpine spirits. Mm-hmm. So it's closely connected to that and the winter solstice. So when Catholicism was being spread throughout Europe, it was pretty hard to actually go to those alpine regions and enforce what you were toting. So a lot of those traditions got mixed together, and now the official Catholic story is indeed that Krampus is the devil that has been conquered and imprisoned by Saint Nicholas. Mm-hmm. And that's what the chains are for. The chains are the chains. Yeah, the chains to contain the devil. Mm-hmm. And so Saint Nicholas, so the Krampus or the Zwarte Klaas or Black Pete, like you call them, used to punish the children, and Saint Nicholas was to reward the good children. Mm-hmm. Like I said, I said earlier about Black Pete and stuff. There is a painting in the early 18th century of a Sinterklaas celebration, in which you see two guys dressed like Pete, mm-hmm. And they're not wearing blackface. Mm. So the tradition of not having blackface is older than the tradition of people doing blackface. Yeah, but I can. And there's also in that case you see Sinterklaas on a horse with a bag of toys beating a kid with the bundle of sticks himself.
Of course, the great friend of all children. Down, you muggers!
That's actually what is depicted. If you're watching the podcast and not just listening, you'll see it right now.
It sounds like the Flemish Sinterklaas. I always had that thing, like when you look at the Dutch Sinterklaas on television, it's always like this sweet old man who was always very good for the children. When you look at like the Flemish Sinterklaas, it was like the man, really the authority.
The authority figure.
She would go like, yes, okay. You just sit quietly at your table, just going like, okay.
Yeah, the Dutch Sinterklaas. He believed the Dutch Sinterklaas, within the Dutch Sinterklaas, modern Dutch Sinterklaas tradition. Sinterklaas is depicted as a man who believes that almost all children are good. The Flemish Sinterklaas, it's like, prove it.
Prove that you are a good boy. It doesn't help that the Sinterklaas in Flanders is being played by the same actor who was played like in the movie of the Leeuw of Vlaanderen, like Jean de Klerk. Who played like the butcher's man who killed a lot of Frenchmen in Bruges.
Yeah. And in its first scene, I've seen that movie. It's a movie called The Leeuw of Vlaanderen.
Leeuw of Vlaanderen. Lion of Flanders.
Lion of Flanders. And I've seen that movie, and in his first scene, he kills a cow.
He kills an ox
An
with
ox.
a hammer.
Yeah.
And he would go like, oh, Santa Claus. Oh. So that what happened to his horse.
If it got lame.
He fell off the roof again. Okay, bring the hammer. With his staff.
Oh. Tom? You do know that Santa Claus switched horses in the Netherlands.
Yeah. Now you know why.
I thought he got retired.
They lent that horse to the Flemish one, and he was like, no use to me now. No, but
Now in the Netherlands, there's every year there's a complete storyline for the Santa Claus tradition, and it's really it's amazing what they come up with.
he's in a hospital now or something. He's broken his leg or something.
And there's always like on the national Dutch television, there's also always a complete storyline leading up to when Saint Nicholas arrives in the Netherlands, and you have the welcoming feast, and throughout the whole Saint Nicholas celebrations up till December 6th. And every year it's really a wild story, and you have outrageous parents going to Twitter to complain about it. Like I believe a year ago, the thing was that the boat that brought all the presents sunk.
But I'm just thinking, the guy who makes up these stories, he must be high on crack in the center of Amsterdam somewhere.
Oh, by the way, do you know where the boat comes from?
No, actually not. No.
Well, that's also because of those old Dutch traditions, and because he is the patron saint of seafarers.
Oh, of course, yeah.
And those old celebrations often started in harbor towns, and they had the St. Nicholas market. So St. Nicholas would arrive at those markets and with the boat.
Okay, now I'm just imagining the first boat of St. Nicholas arriving with just the big banner of the VOC at the back. That's just my mind going.
The Dutch blood flag.
Yeah,
Be real.
Okay. It is the blood flag.
Oh
no!
The arm coming out of the cloud with the sword, but instead of a sword, it's a bishop's staff.
I would go for that one though.
Well, red is his color. So.
Let's make it. Let's do it.
It keeps working. It keeps getting better.
Let's do it.
Yeah, but I think we're going to leave this episode here.
No.
If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. If you have anything to add to this video, also leave it in the comments. What's your favorite historical winter solstice or end of year holiday, Christmas, Hanukkah?
Or perhaps if you know some really fun traditions that go back,
please,
let us know.
Please let us know. And we'll see you in the next video.
See ya.